and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147. I am still working on walking in the rain, as probably expected, to be fair. This is, of course, my latest big project. I did get a little bit done. So I can't even remember where we were last week, but I'm pretty sure I finished off this and I have done this 2 sections, which I did in one evening. We are getting to some of the more blocky parts of the colour, so it's definitely getting easier. I have it all sort of lay flat and spread out. I am actually going to do what I have found, or what I definitely found with this top section. It only had one symbol that was red. I had no blue symbols, no yellow symbols in it at all. So I actually found it easier to just do the red when I came across it, rather than doing it first. But on this one, while I don't feel it's busy enough that I would have to do the blue symbol and that red symbol first, they are standing out quite easy. So I thought, let's just do these first up, and then I don't have to think about that tray of diamonds at all. I have the other 2 trays of diamonds next to me, and once I've done this, I am going to turn my light pad on and zoom you in. But I thought today I've done quite well with filming my other videos for this week. I've actually got them all filmed. Maybe it's because the sun's out. It's cold, but the sun's out. So I've done quite well at getting my videos filmed quite promptly so far today. So we shall see how far we get on this section. I'm not going to worry about finishing it up. I just want to get through what we get through, and maybe get caught up on a few comments, because I am on some comments from earlier weeks. Just going to find my putty. I do want to top up. I've been using putty in this pen rather than a glue dot. This one was gifted to me. It was kindly made for me by P Jelly, and it's gorgeous. So I want to use it again. Yeah, so I've got my other 2 trays here laid out, and I do find that when it comes to these bigger sections, or these more blocky sections that are probably a little bit more like a normal diamond painting would be. Does that make sense? I do need to scoot this painting up, don't I? I knew this would happen. I'd lay out all my cases and have my computer ready with all my comments, and then I'd actually need to scoot it up a little bit more than I have done. It is very much at the point where it doesn't need to be curled up at all. Okay, so let me get that, because it is quite a big section. So let me get that to the point that that's in the middle, and then I can pop my computer down to actually help keep the diamond painting in one place, which is always helpful. And yeah, get diamond painting away. I do have a piece of pipe lagging that I use to roll this far end of the painting on. However, every time I take it off my drafting table, I tend to pop it off the end of it. So it's floating around on my floor somewhere right now, so it can stay there. But yeah, I seem to have made quite a bit of progress with this one. How soon it will get finished, I don't know. That will depend on potentially a kitting up of my next WIP painting next week. I'm hoping, and I say hoping because it's not actually yet a definite, but I'm hoping that by Sunday's WIP and Waffle, the Sunday coming up, I will just have the last section of my Hug in a Mug painting to do. I'm hoping to get up to the last little bit throughout the week and then finish up that one and actually kit up my next big one very soon. So I'm thinking with this painting, and say it will depend because we have got nearly 2 months before June Waffle, where I diamond paint with one painting and do a section a day with you guys and just chit and chat through all the comments and my Sunday WIP and Waffle comments and my Thursday big project comments all sort of get mixed in, and we just chat about this, that and the other. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking I may need to push more to the front the planning for my next Heaven and Earth design. So big project Thursdays, once this is finished, which is getting closer, and it's getting quicker to do some of the sections, especially the top part. There's a lot more of one colour. I'm in no way dipping in and out of colours anywhere near as much. Yeah, I need to start thinking about my next big project. So I might get prepared and get some things ordered and get some videos done for that in the upcoming next few weeks. And then depending on timing, which I'm not very good at judging how far this painting will last, because sometimes I do longer WIP and Waffles, sometimes I do shorter ones. There will be the odd time that I will be able to do some of this off camera, which moves it along a little bit more. As to whether this will either get finished just before June Waffle, or if it gets finished earlier, I might then start the preparation for my Heaven and Earth design before June Waffle, and then actually start the Heaven and Earth design after June Waffle. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I've got a couple of months. I don't think I'm going to finish it super quick, but I do think it will be finished before June Waffle is over. Because I started it in January, and it might have been a little bit into January. So that was what, January, February, March, 3 months. And we've got 2 months left, and I am well past halfway and getting a little bit quicker at it as well. So I need to start thinking of that soon. Getting some canvases in is the main thing. Get canvases in from a few different companies, and then I can decide which one I want to use. I also want to go through and order some diamonds as well, both for that project, but then also potentially for my other Heaven and Earth design project, just because it's cheaper to buy them both together than it is to buy them separately. And sort of get my list together and get all that compiled. But I will be sure to share it with you guys on video. If you're wanting to do a Heaven and Earth design project, we'll have a few videos on that before I actually start. But yeah, my mind keeps switching back to that and thinking, okay, I really need to get this done soon. Just so that I can rest easy that it's here, that the items are here, have arrived. The videos of my preparation of it are done, and then whenever this gets finished, I can just dive straight into the next one. Because I really like my big project Thursdays, and I like having them to work on through the week as well sometimes for a little bit of something different. If I need a break from my current WIP, or maybe I just fancy doing something a little bit different to my current WIP, I can come in and do some of this. And I may do the same with my Heaven and Earth design as well, we'll see. It's not as big as my last one, so it'll be a lot easier to manage. Anyway, comments, etc., questions from walking in the rain. Say I'm on comments from a couple of weeks ago, but we'll see how many I can get through while working on this. I do have a little bit more time today, so it may end up being a bit of a longer one, but we shall see. You never know. There's less colours in this, so I may end up getting through this quite a bit quicker. Depends how many I end up missing when I get down here. User MH7, and then lots of other letters. They said they've had to check this one out. They've said, and just wow, so many colours. They love it. It does have loads of colours, but it is nowhere near as hard as I initially thought. Don't get me wrong, it's not as easy as a painting with less colours. It does take more time because you are dipping in and out of colours. Sometimes you're dipping in and out of them just to get one or two, depending on the section of the painting that you're working on. But it's not as hard as I thought it would be, especially grouping similar symbols together that do actually look more different on the canvas than they might do on the actual stickers on the bottles. But once you've got your head round which one is which, I find it's fairly easy to figure that out, which is good. Kim, she says, Rebecca, she says the glare on your diamonds, she says, is not a major problem in her opinion. She said, I did mention the position of the easel because you asked for our opinions. She says, is it comfortable for you to do it flat? She says, if it is, then carry on. She says, if it isn't comfortable, she said, then feel free to go back to your easel. She says, your videos are always fun to watch. She says, whether the lights are making your drills extra sparkly or not. Oh, thank you. She says she worked on much of her Diamond Art Studio Christmas Advent painting on a flat surface, and it was often quite a pain, she said. A pain in the patootie to work on it that way. Love that phrase. It isn't quite as easy to work on it flat like I am now, but there are benefits to working flat, I find. I think the biggest thing with this one, to ensure that my camera can zoom in right, it's actually a little bit further back on the table than maybe I would have it if I was just setting it up to diamond paint on a flat table. I have to push it a little bit further up the table, so I've got quite a bit of room down here before I get to the actual section I'm working on. But it's not a huge thing. The easel does take up quite a bit of room on my desk, not all of it, but if I'm just dealing with a painting that fits on the easel and doesn't overhang, and I'm dealing with one case of diamonds rather than at the moment 2, but sometimes 3 cases of diamonds as I do for this one. And the fact that the painting will overhang the easel, so therefore it can get in the way then of my computer and comments. It makes it a little bit of tit for tat. There's pluses and minuses to both. I can actually fully roll this up, this diamond painting up onto the table. I've just rolled it up onto the table, all the part that I've done, so that I can lean on the edge of the table. And you can't even see it. It's not even got into camera shot being rolled up yet because of the extra space that I have. Oh, have I actually finished all those diamonds? I could just... No, there is definitely more. I thought I could see more. Yeah, so the benefits of being able to see my computer screen easily and being able to access the diamond painting cases easily is not a bad offset against the fact that maybe I have to lean over a little bit more than I would normally. And when I am doing longer WIP and waffles, I do tend to take a break in the middle to get myself a brew or something. So it's not bad in general. I've probably missed some of these, but I'll figure them out later if I have. So yeah, there's pluses and minuses, but I do notice myself that it doesn't quite catch the weird sparkly angles as much when it's lay flat, and it's more so on this one than it is on some others. Whether it's just the sparkle or whether it's the size of this one, who knows, but it definitely seems to experience it a bit more. Right, I was looking for an arrow in my case that doesn't hold my arrows. I wonder I couldn't find the flipping thing. So yeah, I'll continue with it flat for now and see how it goes. I do my Sunday WIP and waffle on an easel, so we have a bit of variety doing it both ways. Kim also says, she says, so is your whole family addicted to coffee like you are? And is there always a pot brewed, or do you have like a Keurig machine or equivalent that allows for individual brew to be made, since you're the only coffee addict? She says, since you do love your brew, do you have to go decaf after a certain hour of the day? Coffee wise, hubby will have one occasionally, more so when we're out than when we're in the house. So if we're out somewhere occasionally, he'll go like, oh yeah, fancy one. But really, he can go months without drinking coffee. The girls don't drink coffee either. Lewis does, but nowhere near as much as me. We actually have an espresso machine. So I actually like milky coffees, like flat white is my go-to caffeine drink. But I also like ease, and I don't like cleaning up a load of mess. Laziness on cleaning things, especially things that, you know, may involve milk. So what I actually tend to do with my coffees, I've got my, should we say, measurements or my ratios all worked out perfect for at home. But I basically put my milk into a cup, pop it in the microwave for a minute and a half, and then add a shot of espresso from the Nespresso machine. My son does the same, but he tends to like a bigger drink when he has one. So he has a bigger cup with more milk, and then he adds his espresso to that when he has some. He'll probably at least have one a day, my son. Maybe two, but I definitely drink it the most. I don't do decaf. I do tend to, more often than not, I tend to try and make sure that my last brew of the day is no later than 9 o'clock-ish in the evening. It tends to be according to my cycle as to whether I can get to sleep or not in relation to whether I've had coffee or not. So, but yeah, it tends to be around 9 will be the last coffee that I may have. Unless we're out for a meal or something like that. But yes, I'm the only real coffee addict. That's for sure. Tiffany says, so she started Cosmic Trip on the 12th of January. She is now 3 cover paper sections off, halfway. She said, but she did have a few weeks where she wasn't working on it because she was waiting for enhancement drills to arrive. So hopefully she is hoping to have Cosmic Trip finished before June. I like it. Added an extra, a little bit of some sort of sparkle to your painting, because why not? I'm rather excited to kit up my next painting. Then again, I'm always excited to kit up my next painting. But my next one for my current WIP should be a bigger painting, all going well. So it'd be quite nice to see what that one will be. Though I have this one to keep me going as well. The fact that this one is a larger one definitely fulfills that need to do something big as well. This one actually hasn't been away in its box for quite a few weeks, because what I was doing was, unless I was in between paintings, this would only come out for this WIP and Waffle, and it would go back in its box on a weekly basis, and I'd have whatever other painting I was working on my drafting table. But because the last few paintings that have been picked have been 30 by 40s, or biggest one I think was 40 by 50, so it really wasn't that big. My drafting table's had this on for months now, for a good couple of months. So it's been really easy to just decide to work on it for a little bit longer. But hey, it all helps with the progress. This one isn't going to take me 4 years like my Heaven and Earth design did. This one is going to be a bit quicker. And my next Heaven and Earth design is smaller, so that one should also be a lot quicker. Hopefully. We shall see. Cross Stitch and Tat, she says, is looking great. She says hers is kitted up, ready to start as soon as she finishes her current WIP. Oh, you're going to love it. I have really, really enjoyed working on this one. Even with some of the confetti bits, just the process of working on this painting, regardless of the colours, or the amount of colours, should I say, has still been so nice. The diamonds fit so nicely together that it just makes the whole thing even more of a pleasure, I suppose. Sometimes, you know what, even if you do have gaps, you know full well that when you have gaps, when you take a step back, everything will be fine and it will all look good. But there is something really enjoyable about having nice, snug fitting diamonds that when you do start filling in holes, give you that little click of satisfaction. Lady Dax, she says, yes, Rebecca, she says she did try using her light pad while working on Walking in the Rain. She says, but to be honest, her eyes are poo at the moment, and it got really frustrating, which just takes the enjoyment out of it, doesn't it? She says she's going to try to get an earlier optician's appointment, and they know she diamond paints, as they have one of hers hanging in reception. Just checking for any missed ones. She says, plus the last time they said she had the start of a cataract in her right eye, so that should make them keen, she said, to check on it. In the meantime, she's doing some paint gem butterflies and using a magnifier when she needs to. Sometimes she says she thinks it sucks getting older, and then she thinks how lucky she is, as so many didn't get to have that privilege. There are definitely pluses and minuses, that is for sure. Oh, there's a whole group of that triangle there that I missed. This is where having a setup with the tip and trick that I just did would benefit hugely. I've missed a complete set of 3. It was a tricky symbol to see straight off, so I should have known I'd end up missing some. But that'll teach me to go by the symbol in the most bottom left corner and see if I could make it work or not. I'm now doing a bright one, and then I think I'm going to do some of the darker ones next. Try and fill in some of this part that's a little bit closer to me. So when I scoot up I'm not going to hit any blank canvas. And it's going to have diamonds on it already. It's when they throw in the symbol surrounded by other symbols. Like you can have I could have an X up here and I could see it clearer than an X down here just because of the symbols that are surrounding it. It can sort of give the symbol that you're looking at a different kind of look to it. It can definitely make it a little bit trickier sometimes to see them. But that's what happens when I uncover such a big section. I'm likely to miss them more because I always think there's less colours in than there actually is. I think, oh, there's not that many colours because I can see this big section of 2s. So I think, oh, it's not so bad. And I uncover a big section and then I realise, actually, there's more different colours than I thought there was. Okay, let me get those triangles because I do like to fill in where I've made a mistake with it, because then I feel like it can't just stare at me and go no nicky no if I get them covered up. It can't no nicky no anymore. So we'll get those done. No, it helps if I actually pick up a diamond before I try and put one in its place. There we go. Right, I'm going to do some of this darker one. And this is one of them that I have 2 symbols that are very similar. The other one's actually here. It's got a fatter dot in the middle of it. But on the canvas, this one doesn't look as much like a circle. It looks a bit more ovally, just because of the way it's bled into the canvas when it's been printed. So it looks quite a bit different on canvas to what it does on the stickers. And that's one of the things that you sort of learn as you go along and get more familiar with the diamond painting the more you do it. Right, let me take off. Oh, I've got a sort of shirt over the top of a top. A bit, just a change from a cardigan. Though at times at night it gets that cold, I put a cardigan over the top as well. But it's getting really warm in here. So I thought, let's ditch that. I'm actually wondering if bringing my little chair over and resting a knee on it would possibly be a nice way to sort of, because I'm leaning over so much, I wonder if it would be a nice way, because my table overhangs a little bit more than where my cupboards are underneath. So I've just tucked my chair underneath my table. This actually makes me a little bit taller because I am short, which never helps. So we'll see if kneeling on the chair makes this a little bit easier. Say, it's not hard, it's not annoying at all either, really. It's just because we've had the conversation about it now, it's in my head. Oh, could I try this? Oh, could I try that? So if you end up with my head in the camera shot a bit more now than you did before, I do apologise, but I've made myself tall. Kim, she says, obviously, she says she is in a chatty mood tonight because she is back with another comment. She said she uses her easel at the highest level. So it's almost standing upright. She says it has 3 positions. She says fascinating how everyone has their own preferences. Yeah, so my easel has 3 settings. Megan uses hers quite high. I always used to use mine on the lowest one, and that's the one that I use when filming, is the lowest setting for the easel. But I have found when I'm diamond painting now in the conservatory, I like it on the 2nd setting. So a little bit higher up, I found is quite nice. So yeah, it is amazing how it all changes. You will notice that I am currently focusing a little bit more on these down here than going up here and getting these. That is also partly because I am actually now sat on my knees. So I've kneeled up on the chair and now I've just sat down with my legs tucked under me. And I think I'm just going to keep moving about while I'm diamond painting, because I shuffle a lot anyway when I'm diamond painting. I'm constantly readjusting how I'm sitting, even when I'm diamond painting off camera. So I think that's why standing up to film works so well for me, because I can just move about my feet and still diamond paint but still be shuffling. Whereas when I'm sat down to diamond paint, I'll have my legs tucked under me, I'll be sat up straight and just constantly moving. So I'm doing the same now. I'm going between one knee propped up on the chair to both knees up on the chair to sat down on my heels. Anyway, you think what goes on in the background. Anyway, Daylene, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she is listening on a Friday morning while she diamond paints at home. She said she has been booked off from work twice now with severe back pain. Ooh. She says been booked in for a 6-week back rehab clinic, which is twice a week. She says she loves the chats. She says, hope that I enjoyed my day with the girls, and look forward to seeing both of hers. She looks forward to seeing both of hers on Easter weekend. Yeah, we had a really nice day. Actually, we went pottery painting, which we always enjoy. I never quite know what to paint though. I should definitely pre-plan a little bit more what to paint before we go, but you know, never do. This weekend, recently, we went on Saturday to see Come From Away in Liverpool, which was really nice. So last Sunday's WIP and Waffle was filmed ahead, and then I'm doing the rest of my filming today. But yeah, that was a really nice day as well to go out and do that with the girls. They booked it quite a few weeks ago. I had to keep reminding me when it was, because I'm murder for remembering when it was coming up. But yeah, we had a nice day out and did that yesterday, and then the sun is shining today, which is good. It's still cold, but the sun's shining, so I will take sunshine if that's all I'm going to get. If I'm not going to get the warmth with it, then just give me the sunshine. It's better than rain. But I would like it to start getting warmer soon, please, because it's been warm in March before, so I think you can do it again. Mother Nature, sort yourself out. All Things Crafty by Kaz. She says she's loving the progress on this painting. She said it inspires her to get her high colour, high number diamond painting out. Yeah, it's a nice project to do as sort of a side project as well. You know, not necessarily the only painting that you do, though many do. Many do these high colours as their only painting and work on it until it's finished. But I very much like this as having this as one of my side WIPs. I actually think about it a little bit differently to my normal WIP. So in my head, this is like a completely different project. It's like it's a second hobby, even though it's not. But that's sort of the way I think about it, as a completely separate project to my current diamond painting. And it just ticks along in the background. So I still get the excitement of kitting up and finishing paintings with my other ones that I may work on more so or do bigger sections of, or, you know, do quite a few evenings of working on that compared to maybe one on this. And yeah, it just ticks along, and then you do get to the point like now when I've got more than halfway and I'm really seeing the end of the painting and the victory of it being finished, and it just gives me that level of excitement too. So yeah, I love having something different or high colour or more time consuming as being a sort of alongside project rather than the only one that I'm doing. I think I get more enjoyment out of it that way than if this was my only one, because I've loved doing it, but I could see myself potentially getting a bit more, oh, do I want a diamond paint tonight? Because it's a lot more colours, it's a lot more work, things like that. It's a lot more thinking. And say it's not a huge amount. It's nowhere near as daunting as what I first thought, but it is still more work, especially when you get to a very confetti section of it, in the flowers and stuff. So yeah, it being a side project works so much better for me. It's one of those, I've got another symbol here, it's completely different. It is what I call like a little sunset. So it's got two lines and then it's got some rays coming off the top line. I think of it as a sunset, but it's a very similar colour to these 3 asterisks. I'm not sure if it's going to catch it, but this is 3 asterisks, this one. So I think it's because of the splaying out parts. It can get confusing as to which one's which. But yeah, I'm trying to get some of these darker colours done, because these bright colours here I find are a little bit more fun to do. So sometimes I like to do the boring colours so then I can do the fun colours. So I'm going to try and get some of these more boring colours done for a little bit. Mysterious Days. She says she feels like she's been so behind on WIP and Waffles lately. She says she is very much someone who loves watching YouTube and tends not to watch typical TV shows. I'm the same. I tend to watch YouTube over watching TV. She says, but lately she's been watching a lot more TV shows in her free time. Well, you've got to shake it up every now and then, especially if something does catch your interest in a TV show. She says, but before she did some schoolwork, she is working on an 8x10 section, and then she's getting back into school. It's a good way. Let yourself do a little bit. It's amazing how you still achieve something even by doing it a little bit at a time, and it's like a little reward, and then you can still get closer to finishing, albeit a bit slower than you would do. She said, speaking of, she says earlier in the month she left a comment that she was taking her language arts test soon. Yes, I remember that one. She says she's decided to reschedule it for later, as her essay score writing is a little bit too low for her to be really comfortable with. And she felt like she needed more time to study. She says it feels like a win and a loss. That is what, well, life just throws you winning and losing. By moving it back, though, do you feel better? That is the question. Overall, like, I'm not talking, you know, the initial disappointment that you plan to do it sooner. But if you overall feel better and feel happy with your decision, then it was the right thing to do. And you need to do what's right for you. And your extra wins will just come later. They'll just come a bit later than now. Maybe you were chasing the wins too much. And and now you've done the right thing and your wins will follow. She says also, don't worry, the protein shakes have found a home. She said an elderly woman that she lives with is drinking the rest. She says no more allergic reactions for me. She says she's glad, honestly. She says as they were $28 for 30 of them and she only drank 2. Well, there you go. There's another win for you. In a couple of ways, you've been kind to a neighbour, they're benefiting, and you don't no longer have an allergic reaction to something, and you've not wasted money. So just take your wins in a different area, because they're still wins. Right, I think I've got all of those. I'm seeing one of these square ones, and I keep trying to see if there's any more mixed in with all this, but I don't think there is. I think it's come from this section over here, and there's just one that's gone into this next section. So let me fill that one in as though it was a forgotten drill. Get that one bobbed in there, and then I can move on to some of these other darker ones. I want this number 2, which will be with my number 2s. Roman number 2. Magic Moonchild says this is gonna, oh sorry, that is the wrong Whip and Waffle. Oops. Maybe I don't have as many for this Whip and Waffle as what I thought. Maybe I didn't get through as many comments on Sunday as I thought. Okay, that long Whip and Waffle, long comment, sorry, random different things is actually a Sunday one. So that one will come up next Sunday. Teach me to not pay attention to the picture at the side of my comments. Because I do have like a list of all comments, and I work from the oldest that I've not already read out. Anyway, Cat Lady, she says some of the stress of this move has reduced because they have packed up enough of her craft items to make the craft room presentable for photos. That's always good. Nothing like a nice cleaner slate. The photos were done on Monday, and their for sale board went up today. Sorry, I'm sure I just saw one. Or maybe I didn't. This is where I find I end up missing them, possibly. We'll see. So she said the for sale board went up today, which was a few days ago, or last week probably as you're watching this. She said, so we won't be doing any more until they know that they have a sale in place. Exciting times. Said it will be the people viewing that will disrupt now. They've selected a large painting to do, and if they can do, provided they can do them and easily pack them away, they hope to get some sorted. She said she needs to get back to dotting. She's had enough of knitting and crochet. Well, if it's something that you can put out, and say we quite often roll ours up, bit of pipe lagging, roll it up, pop it back in its original box, partly done. It happens with this one as well. And you can just do that when you have a viewing and leave it out at the other times. Then maybe you won't feel like you're popping it away too much. But I hope things go as smoothly and as quickly as possible for you. Because it is, well, I can imagine it's disrupting. I haven't left this house for years because even cleaning out one room scares the bejeebus out of me, because we have what feels like so much stuff, but at the same point it's not. It's very well tucked. Any room that gets emptied out takes up a whole lot more space than I feel it does when it was in the room itself. Anyway, I'm on to comments from this week, which is good. Okay, let me get my next one. And this one is my sort of triangle diamond with diamonds inside it. There's actually a few of them, but this is the one with no, which is got holes in it rather than being 4 diamonds blocked up. I hope that even makes sense. Blossom Chop, she says personally, she says she loves it when I'm filming later in the day. She says because when you're getting tired, she says the videos have a much more fun vibe. You get the randomness of me is what you get. She says, and it's great fun. Yes, there are definitely times when I do film later on in an evening or in a day, especially if I've had a productive day and I'm like, do you know what? Because I think that's what I did with last week's Walking in the Rain, is I'd been filming on a Friday for a change. Catherine was home, I think, or Caris was home. One of them was home. And I'd packed orders and I got some filming done. I was just trying to get just a little bit done to make it a little bit easier at the weekend. So I'd got a few videos done, and then I'd gone and sorted out postage and got it ready for the postie. And then I was like, do you know what? I'll just squeeze in another video. And the next thing, or the only video I had to do, was this WIP and Waffle. And I was like, well, if I just do this, then I'm done. And like, I don't have to do any on Saturday or Sunday. You know, probably had loads of things in my head I could do instead, and then did a lot of nothing. But yeah, it ended up being a late night one, and I can definitely hear that it's different for me. I think I'm running on a production high as well. Just, I love it once I've had a productive day, especially if I've still got energy to get things finished up and boxed off later in the evening and feel like I've ticked loads of boxes. Is always good. Feels good today that I'm, you know, on my last video for the week. I either do both of my WIP and Waffles right at the beginning of my filming and get what tends to be the longer videos done first, or I tend to do my Sunday WIP and Waffle and then do all my other smaller videos, and then end with my last WIP and Waffle, which is what I'm doing this time. So I've already done tomorrow's video, as you guys will see it. But I knew I potentially would want to do a longer one on this, so I thought, well, if I get everything else done, then I'll know how much time I've got. But yeah, I'm enjoying being productive today. I may even try and film 1 or 2 of my videos for next week. Not my WIP and Waffles, my other ones. I might try and... I don't even know which ones I've got for next week. I haven't looked yet. So I might try and see if I can squeeze in one for next week. I don't think I can do my logbook yet, but I might be able to do another one. And yeah, get a bit ahead and be able to enjoy Easter. So it'll be Easter tomorrow for everybody. 4-day weekend. Quite looking forward to that. Because when I don't have orders and stuff to pack, I can sort of say, okay, I can do a day of filming and then have 3 days off and get my weekend and stuff all at the same time. So yeah, looking forward to Easter weekend as well. Right, change my camera, add my brew. Change my battery. Which one am I on? Put my light pad back on. Get back in the flow of things. Yes, what is the next comment, question, etc.? So Diana, she says, Rebecca, she says, if only you could have heard me while I was watching this. She says you would have heard me say, oh, she's missed some. Oh, she's missed a few more. Oh no, not again. She says, "You gotta love working on a confetti heavy painting." She says, "When it happens to me," she says, "most often when I'm tired," which, yes, doing last week's video a lot later in the evening did not help my inability to complete all the symbols of a colour. She says she just says it to herself otherwise. Yeah, that is the only thing. It can be fun, say when I'm having a productive day, doing a video much later on, you know, and being up later, or doing it later at night, should I say. However, finishing, actually, you know, not missing colours is definitely harder later on in the day. I do find that when I am tired, I miss even more, especially when I'm doing something else at the same time. So if I'd have diamond painted within that same time frame, but not been filming a WIP and Waffle, not been chatting, just been listening to a book, or sometimes I don't even do that. I just might have whatever hubby's watching on the TV in the background, which means I'm not really paying attention. Then I probably wouldn't have missed anywhere near as many as I did last week. But at least you guys all know that I miss them just as much as you will do. So yeah, we can all miss different colours of diamonds together, that's for sure. It's definitely what last week showed. Blossom Chops says she got her clips from Amazon. She says she thinks that they were called beach towel clips. Yes, that is a good thing to search for. Towel clips or beach towel clips, something along those lines, and you should be able to pick some up. Depending on what season you are in your country, maybe something that you can pick up from, you know, pound shop, dollar shop, that sort of thing, fairly easily if it's the right season for it. Always worth keeping an eye out there as well, but it's definitely handy to have some. I use some on my drafting table all the time, but I just use that one set between my drafting table or my easel, depending on what diamond painting I'm working on and what I actually need to keep in place. The Trucking Scribe says that this is a beautiful painting. It's been a couple of years since they have done one. They think they need to get theirs back out. Oh, another person getting back into the hobby. That's always good to know. Say sometimes you start a new hobby, or you start diamond painting, and then you may, you know, stop doing it for a while, especially when it's not become something that's maybe as much of a routine, or maybe you don't even realise the amount of benefits you actually do get out of it at the time, but then when you come back to it, quite often that's when those benefits shine, because you're not trying to learn something as well. You get to switch off a lot more, or switch your brain off a lot more, and just dot away. Just dot, dot, dot to your heart's content. Lady Dax, a couple of days ago, she says her Coup order hasn't arrived. Mine has. In fact, that's actually a video that is for tomorrow. So anybody that's waiting, that'll be on my other channel. Is it tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. Saturday. It will be on my other channel. But for anybody that has been waiting for Coup deals, I think I ordered, or I put in my sort of choice of paintings to do unboxings on just before Spring New Year or Chinese New Year kicked in. So it was fairly near the beginning. My order actually, for some reason, goodness knows why Every decided to deliver it next door instead of here, because that's not like him unless they've changed drivers. But yeah, mine actually got delivered next door. And when she did hand it over to me, she did say she's been on holiday, so she's not sure how long it's been there. So I can't tell you exactly how soon mine did or did not get to me because of that. But I can let you know that mine has arrived. So they are definitely shipping out again. And, you know, they're definitely working through their backlog. So hopefully everybody else's will start arriving soon too. Right, speaking of 2, I'm going to start on the number 2 here. I am just going to shift my chair because as comfy as that was for a little bit, standing up is definitely easier for me. She says, I'm speeding through this painting. She says she started the other end. So she started hers where I have yet to get to. And she's just done past the lady, which I can see the lady just above this cover paper sheet. So she's probably around the same sort of area as me, but coming from the other side. But then her eyes have rebelled, and she's put it away for now until she goes to the opticians. She said somewhere between hospital and doctor's appointments. Okay, that diamond did not want to slip in there. Let's try another one. There we go, that did. So somewhere between hospital and doctor's appointment, she needs to fit in a trip to the opticians. You do if you want to be able to carry on. Though I do know from an earlier comment you have been doing some likes of paint gem minis and then using a magnifying glass on those when you need to. So I suppose if you've got some diamond painting to do, it doesn't become as urgent as if you weren't able to do any. But hopefully you'll be able to fit it all in soon and get some glasses or whatever it is that you need that enable you to get back to diamond painting, because this is an absolutely gorgeous image to work on. And while you do have quite a few confetti sections to come with the flowers, I do find that you very much get used to the symbols within each certain section. So like this number 2 that I'm doing now, I've hardly used it at all, if any, further down on the painting, but there's a lot of it now as I come to this sort of yellow band. I'm now using loads of it. Gretchen says congratulations on reaching the halfway point. She said it's always a big deal for her when she flips the painting over to reach the top better. Yeah, see, I do find it hard to flip the painting round. I think I get so used to reading the symbols, like by tilting my head to the left, that if I had to then tilt my head to the right, I think I'd confuse myself more. So on my drafting table, I have 2 drawers underneath the drafting table, and what I've actually done is I've pulled those drawers out a bit, and the diamond painting sits on there rolled up so that I can actually pull it further down and keep working on it the same way. When I was working on my easel on my small table, there was just enough room to put like the rolled up part of the diamond painting to just sit on the lip of the table. So I used to do it that way anyway when I was working on it. So far I've not had to change it round, though I do think if I'm working on my drafting table, when I get right to the end, I might have to do it then, just because my clips don't reach down far enough to get hold of it, and the drafting table is so much bigger that they won't reach in from the sides either. User PJ3Q and lots of other bits says that they really enjoy watching my videos anytime during the day. They're having a bad time just now and struggling with everything daily, so my videos really help. Oh, that is a shame. I do hope things get better for you. I really do, because we all have times where we struggle more than others, and sometimes, you know, our struggles are bigger than others as well. So yeah, I just hope things get better for you, or at least feel a bit more manageable. It's amazing how we can cope with such a thing as a broken plate so much easier on some days than others, depending on everything else that is going on at the time. So take care of yourself. Melissa says, Melissa Brooks, she says, on the topic of multi-placing, she said she uses the Diamond Art Club 6-placer to both multi-place and single place with it. She says, and she can even single place with multiple drills at once. This is some of that multi-placing witchery skills that I've seen that I cannot quite manage in any way, shape or form. I have on occasion, the last time I did this, this section here, I did multi-place a couple of sections, not very many at all. A couple of the colours I did decide, oh, I'll just give this a go. This number 2 might have been one of them. But most of this painting I have fully single placed. It was just more of a, shall I give it a go? Why not? Type thing. She says once you get comfortable with multi-placing, or very comfortable, she says you won't need to switch back and forth ever again. Yeah, I think that just might take me quite a bit longer for that, just because at the moment I still don't multi-place loads either. It really does depend on the painting and my mood, and if my multi-placer is close at hand, because I just tend to have one that I move between pens, so a lot of it all depends on that. But yeah, I have seen, you know, people single placing or using a big multi-placer and using it to place anything from 2 up to 6. I have seen that done, so I do know it's possible. I'm just nowhere near that skill level yet. So I will continue with my single placing, with occasional multi-placing, and enjoy doing my little step method with diamonds on certain sections as I go along, just bit by bit, because it still brings me enjoyment and I can single place pretty quick. Right, I did top up the putty in this pen before I started, but to be honest, putty does seem to respond better, or at least I find it does, if I just replace it when it needs it. So I've just pulled most of the putty out of the end of my pen, and I'm gonna put a fresh amount in. I sort of poke in the middle like you do with wax, but it ends up being a little bit more stringy. Then it ends up sticking out a little bit, but then as it flattens itself down, as I use it now, I will pull off the excess from around the outside as I go along, hopefully before it starts sticking to my canvas. But it's definitely easier and nicer to use when the putty is fresh. Carrie says, thank you for another great waffle. She says, so for a week after Botox for her migraines, and finally a day where her pain is down to below a 5. Awesome news. Not that you're still in pain, but that it's down to below a 5, which I can imagine if it's been a lot higher, a 5 could just feel so freshening from pain that you've had before. She says, fingers crossed that this is the Botox kicking in. She said she had an appointment today with her neurology nurse practitioner, and she's also prescribed meds to mimic the meds that they give her in the ER, so that if her pain is reaching that level, she can try to have that cocktail at home to keep her out. So she's just not suffering, basically, not suffering at home or having to go to the ER room as much. She says she very much appreciates my videos and the kindness of your words, she says, when you respond to my comments. She says, thank you for everything you do for me and everyone in the community. She says, have a wonderful week. Well, you have a wonderful week yourself. It sounds like you are heading in the right direction now, which is amazing. It'd be so good to be able to get that sorted, so that you can feel like you can gain a bit of your life back, and not have the migraines messing with your schedule all the time, because it's just not nice. Pebbles says she lives in London. She says, but any time that they holiday in the southwest, they go to Trago Mills. Trago Mills. It's a good place to go if you're ever in Cornwall. She says they even had cream tea there last time. Oh, that's another thing I have in Cornwall. Cream tea, here, there and everywhere. Absolutely love a cream tea. Not that I drink tea, but basically scones with jam and clotted cream are just amazing. And if I don't have that multiple times in the week I'm in Cornwall, then I've not been to Cornwall, quite frankly. I often have it. We then often go through a period when we get back home of buying in clotted cream and scones, because we can get clotted cream up here, but we end up going through a period of a few weeks where we end up buying in scones and clotted cream, and then it sort of gets by the wayside or forgotten about until either, you know, we're out and about and it's like, oh, should we get some? Or we've been to Cornwall again and it's been brought back to the forefront of our mind. But yes, Cornish cream tea, amazing. Vanessa says she's picked up some large plastic clothes hanger clips. She's picked up some of those from a dollar store. So there we go. There's a few different things you can use. Megan's ones, the ones that Megan uses. In fact, I think I have one here. I've just taken the other couple of them to my friends who's diamond painting. These ones I think are for cross stitch, to hold cross stitch or quilting, to hold fabric onto like the dowel things, and that you can use to either hold your cross stitch or hold, you know, like your material for quilting and stuff. I think that's what they're for. So they're a little bit, I suppose, smaller. They don't necessarily clip down as deep on the easel, but they've still got that good grip. So there are a few different things that you can sort of keep an eye out. It's one of those of keeping an eye out in all areas, especially the likes of the dollar store. All areas of the dollar store for things that they say will work. You know, they sell it for other things, but it will work for holding your painting on an easel or around a pool noodle or on your drafting table and things like that. So it's worth having a scoot with the idea of finding some clips in that mix. Jan, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she's enjoying my waffle again. She says lots of giggles. That's a late night waffle for you. She said she puts the pregnant stick next to the letter P, so the pregnant stick symbol. She says as it makes her think of a backwards P. She says the painting is looking fab. Yeah, it is. I think a lot of the time, especially with this bigger painting, you do sometimes have to arrange the symbols, not only, you know, sort of according to what the symbols are, but if you think of something as a letter of the alphabet. So I've got a couple of upside down T's, and they're stored with my T's. But that's because I know what I think of when I look at them. And if you think of it as a letter in any way, shape or form, then you're best sticking it with your letters. Say, especially on a painting this big, just because it makes it so much easier for you to be able to find it by doing that. Oh, I'm actually very nearly out of these. I've got 2 that have got diamonds stuck together. I do have another tub of them, but because this is the last of this colour, I am going to use up what's in my tray before I get any more out. I do use my jar that was in the advent calendar from last year for breaking up diamonds that are stuck together when I have loads of them. But for those, I only had 2. So it was just as easy to break them apart with my nail and throw them back in the tray. I've got something there that is, oh, I think it's a bit of putty. It's gone. So I do have another tub of 972. So I switch the top over and I actually take the label off as I switch it over so that I know there is no more of those, or at least it's got no diamonds in that pot. But we are very nearly finished. It goes into a different type of yellow over here. This is a bit more of an orangey yellow, and it will go over to a yellow a little bit further on. There it is. There's that bit of putty. Got it. Sorry, I've just spotted a spam comment. So let me just get rid of that person. Marilyn, it's one of these. The name of their supposed channel is trying to get you to purchase stuff. Anyway, Marilyn, she says she's got her first set of Paint Gem minis. She's got the butterflies and flowers. She says now she's waiting for them to restock windows, and then she wants to order those along with doors. She said she loves them. The addiction has started. There are just so many. There are so many amazing sets. I'm waiting for Easter to come in for my next set, and I'll try and schedule in. Well, I might just schedule in the unboxing for in a couple of weeks. I normally do some sort of unboxing video on a Friday. So it's either Fan Sales Friday or it's whatever else I've recently purchased or bought in. But I have been rather good recently on not buying too many paintings because I am trying to work through my stash a bit, ignoring Paint Gems. So I was going to wait and see if my Paint Gem turned up in this week and pop it up as Friday's video. But in the end, what I've decided to do, and what you'll see tomorrow, is I'm going to de-kit doors. So it does mean I'll have 2 de-kitting videos this week, but it will get me fully up to date with my de-kitting up until potentially the WIP and Waffle on Sunday, when I'm hoping to finish my other painting. So when Easter does turn up, it'll be the second Friday in April. Oh no, maybe it will be the first. My fan sales hasn't turned up yet, so we'll see what post comes this week, and whichever one's first, I'll de-kit next. I'll unbox next Friday. And yeah, I was kind of thinking it would slip it in before Easter actually happened, but you know what? We'll just we'll figure it out for next Friday maybe. Kim, she says, are you going to Australia this Christmas? She says, if so, who are you taking with you? No, there's not a plan to go this Christmas. To be honest, when I went year before last at Christmas, that is the only time I've been at Christmas. I normally go either in April or October. So October is their springtime, so I quite like going then. That tends to be my most popular time to have gone, is October. However, with the shop now, October is an extremely busy time. In the past, I have taken Catherine and Lewis and Caris with me for trips, so it should be Megan is the next one to go to Australia with me, which of course can make things with the shop a little bit trickier because she normally looks after the shop when I'm away. Plus she also of course works in a school. So school time and air prices can also vary. So at the moment there are no Australia plans imminent, but of course if there ever is going to be, I will let you know. And I've just done 2 of those, and then I've realised that there's loads of them here and they're not easy to see, so I fully expect it's not that they're not an easy to see symbol, but they're not a symbol that jumps out at me. And I've got 2 different types of S's this section as well, so I'll see if I get them all, but resign myself to the fact that I'll probably miss some. Diana, she says first, she says when the video started and she saw what tray I was using, she squealed a little bit. She says she has just opened her package from me with her own lovely olive green tray. She says it works great, she says, because so far no drill has been close enough in colour to disappear on it. That is a good shout. It is a darker colour tray, which is why I think it's not necessarily as popular as some of the light ones. People do tend to favour the light ones a little bit, or their favourite colour. But I do agree that there's not many times that I use a green that would match this. There will be some, but they're not ones that stand out at me. She said second, she says she has that drill storage, and she does understand the need for pretty on those. So she's found, I think this is the art dot, is this the art dot storage? Yeah, so she says she's found that for herself, making a divider out of watercolour paper, which is £140, she says, to keep the bottles in nice, neat lines. She says that helps her a ton. She says it even helps with the part by the handle, because the bottles have to stay where they are. That's an idea, because it is that handle that's driving me up the wall, and making me wonder whether I can take it out and put something else there. Put something else that will behave itself. She says she just pulled the handles out as far as possible, and put the bottles in place with the dividers. She says, and all is neat. She says she will post on Facebook one of the trays. She says she's not de-kitted it yet, so it is a wee bit, what did she say? I've just lost where I was. A wee bit ragged looking, she says, but it will show you what I mean. Yes, I appreciate that, because that is the only thing that infuriates me, and it shouldn't, but it does. So, you know, we go with what does. Crafty Erin, she says, dare she suggest a 3D printed draw pull? She says, or should I just keep my comments to my usual emojis? She says, either way, I'll see you in the next video. Love it. Hubby often comes up with ideas for things to be 3D printed. The only thing is, the 3D printers are always in use for something. So it is very rare that something gets from messing with design to actually being printed. Though it does happen some days, but not nowhere near as much as he wants it to. I don't think he's had many ideas for printing things, but none that, you know, the idea has been important enough to do it while the printers aren't on. Because if I go into the shop for anything on a weekend, a lot of the time I'll just decide to set the printers going and just have them going for a bit, because why not? It's only when everything's locked up that they don't tend to be on. Cross Stitch and Tat, she says she came home from the hospital today to a wonderful WIP and Waffle. She says thank you. Well, I hope you're feeling amazing. I hope you've not been in the hospital for anything untoward, and that everything is good in your world. If not, do make sure, of course, that you take care of yourself and use the time to relax and diamond paint, because it's a very good thing to do. It's a good therapeutic to do. Right, where am I up to? Am I going dark? Am I going up to light? I feel like I should be doing a bit more dark now. I feel like some of the light, while I can see this really clearly, I'm feeling like it gets a little bit more muddled over here. So if I get some of this dark done and then get this corner one done, it might be easier for me to see the other two. That's what my brain's thinking as I'm going along. Inga, she says it amazes her how fast, she says, you and some in the Facebook group, how fast you can finish a 30 by 40. So it takes her around 2 weeks to do that size, and a 40 by 50 takes about a month. She says she does diamond paint most days, but it does depend on how much time one has to diamond paint. They're working full time and they can dedicate 1 to 1.5 hours per day. Larger ones, she says, does intimidate quite a bit. When they got their first large one, which was 70 by 94, a few months ago, they said the first thought when they saw the size of the box was, oh my goodness, what have I done? They said that painting is hiding in the back of the wardrobe until they feel ready to tackle it. Big ones can be daunting, especially if it does take a while to do a smaller one. So getting an hour to an hour and a half each day is a pretty decent amount of time, especially when working full time, busy, family, whatever else. I don't get to diamond paint every evening. Some evenings I do decide to take to play catch up with admin and stuff, and sometimes I'm just, you know, if I've had a really, really busy week, I'm just too tired to think about anything, and therefore I don't diamond paint or do admin, and I just mess on my phone. However, because Megan does cook tea, which means that I have to deal with that, I just do a kitchen clean up just before bed. I do find that I get a good more 2.5 hours. So I can often get a 30 by 40 done in a week. or sometimes a bit less than that, depending on if I can multi-place. If it's a 30 by 40 that's actually a little bit smaller, it's actually more of a 25 by 35 because of the border. If it's round, of course, it's quicker. So there are a few different factors that can come in on that. If with your big one, maybe what you could do, if it is something that you really want to do, but it is intimidating, is maybe if you have got the space to have 2 paintings up and about, is maybe treat your big one as your, you know, heavier project. So a bit like this is my project. So this one is my project due to the amount of colours, but yours could be due to the size because of what you normally do compared to what you're doing now. And maybe just do one evening a week you work on a section of your big project, and then otherwise you keep working on your 30 by 40s, 40 by 50s, and just do one section a week on your big one. And it might take you all year, but you will have the satisfaction of completing your other smaller ones as you go along. With your big one will all of a sudden creep up on you and you'll be like, oh, I've not got a lot left, it's tiny now. And then you may find, actually, I want to just work on this one till I finish. So just keep chipping away at it until it gets to the point where it becomes a 30 by 40 and is a lot more manageable. Or maybe do a week of it in between doing your others. So do a week working on your large one, a section a day, and then kit up and do a 30 by 40, and then do another week of you just working on your big one, and then kit up a new 30 by 40. Something like that, just so that you're just chipping away, just a little bit at your big one, but it's not your main focus. Because then you're not thinking to yourself, this is taking forever. It's taking ages. Just chip, chip, chip. And before you know it, your big one will be nearly finished or finished. And it won't feel as daunting. So maybe try that. Olivia, she says, great WIP and Waffle. She says she has me on her TV while she scrolls through her phone after a mentally tiring work day. I do that sometimes. Just, hubby's like, you doom scrolling, and I'm like, yep, but that's what I want to do. I just want to doom scroll today. Thank you. I'm quite happy. It's helping me to rest and switch off, so I'll do it. She said she should do a bit more of the diamond painting that is set up in her living room, she says, though some days she just doesn't feel sparkly enough to dot. That is the truth. She says she's also admiring my pen. She said, where is it from? I have no idea which pen you are on about, so I am just going to pull up the video. Oh, it is an old, it's the stripy blue and green one that I used. That is an old limited edition pen, so it isn't one that we do anymore. It was one that we did for a short amount of time. So yeah, we don't do that one anymore. Sorry, I'm trying to find back to where the comments were up to. I am nearly done, nearly reached the end of the comments, which is probably good because my battery's probably going to start shouting at me again soon. And this has been a nice long WIP and Waffle. Grey Legrand, she says she loves to see the painting when I zoom out. She says she needs to unbury her large painting so she can see its progress. She says currently it is just covered in every AMZ tray she owns, with 3 more on the way. She also said, by the way, her drills for a Heaven and Earth design Crown Jewel canvas, she says, has finally shipped. She says, forget the decision wheel. She says this canvas may have just jumped the line. If it's exciting enough to jump the line, then it is meant to be. Let it jump. I jumped the line on quite a few last year. It's not happened this year, but there is no doubt that it probably will. So yeah, you go jumping the line. Deirdre, she says, hi Rebecca. She says, at the time of watching this, she has finished her first dance competition. Awesome. I wish I could even dance. She said she was so tired when she came home, she took a 2-hour nap. I'm not surprised. If it's a competition as well, it's not only the physical dancing, it's the mental that goes with it, and remembering what you need to do and thinking about the fact it's a competition. Oh yeah, my brain hurts even thinking about what you'd have to think about. She says she's got gold in her solo, woohoo, as well as the chorus line. They were in, got a special choreography award. After taking off her makeup, she says she still has glitter on her face and it refuses to get off. Glitter stays everywhere. Everywhere. Gets everywhere. You'll be finding that for weeks. But you've done so well that you should just smile every time you see glitter. She says she didn't win the overall in her age category, but she thinks she did good. I think you did amazing. So I say, let that glitter just make you smile at how well you did every time you see it, because that stuff's going to show up for a while. So make it a good thing. She says in the solo, one of her props fell without her touching it. So she had to improvise some of the dance because of it. Well, if you came home with gold in your solo, then obviously whatever you did worked. And yeah, well done to you. Amazing. Catherine says she's in the US. She says the symbol that I call the pregnant stick, she says she calls the side eye. I like it. She says because her youngest used to look at me with side eye and call me out on stuff. She says like when she threw her husband's cell phone on the ground when she grabbed her blanket to get her out of the car seat because she didn't see his phone, so her daughter gave her the side eye. Kids are so good at that. They love it when mummy mucks up or daddy mucks up. Okay, last couple of comments are actually, or the last couple of comments that are there as I'm filming this, is Kaz. She says, hope you and the family are well. She says she's currently working on Little Quackers, who she's christened Huey. She also says that outside the sweet shop is 198 colours. I thought it was 197, but to be fair, I could be completely wrong. It has been a while since I've had outside the sweet shop out, but I have it in my queue. So it is in my queue already. Let me just confirm I've just refreshed my comments. No, they're all Sunday WIP and Waffle comments that I left. But yeah, my plan is this one. Once it's finished, which it's not that far off. Look, there's the end. There is the end. I'll turn off my light pad if I didn't cover up the bottom. So yeah, there is the end of Walking in the Rain. So this is our Thursday project until it's finished. Then I'm going to do Heaven and Earth Design Mini Beautiful Lights. And then I am going to do Outside the Sweet Shop. But yeah, this is looking amazing so far. if I sort of pull it round, this is the very confetti part. It's actually a bigger section than I thought it was, even though I knew it was a fairly big section. I think because you see such, like the part that is the path that the lady's working on, like even though the flowers have stopped here, this bit is still quite confetti before it goes into the path. So I think it can be confusing, you know, at first glance, should we say. But yes, that is another pretty good chunky section. There is still a little bit for me to do in there, but I did peel off 2 for today, so that's a bit more than normal. I may get a little bit more done over the next week or so. I'll definitely at least get this finished up so that it's covered up. And yeah, we'll continue working on this one till it's finished. And I'll get working in the background on making sure that we're ready for Heaven and Earth design. But we do have June Waffle, so there will be a break while we work on something else. But yeah, I thank you all so much for joining me while I'm doing this, for leaving your comments, updates, all that sort of stuff. Makes it a really enjoyable video to do. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.